Hey everybody, it's Marcy from wavesofcommunication.com, and it's Thursday, so I am here live doing my weekly live Q&A session on Facebook. Hey to everybody who's joining me. Hey Vishku, nice to see everybody jumping on. I wanted to get started. So if you have a question, go ahead and post it in the comments. I'm always happy to answer questions on these sessions, whatever comes up in your mind. Just if this is the first time you're watching, my name is Marcy Melzer, and I am an intuitive speech and language pathologist consultant. And that means that I gave up being a speech therapist to now work full-time consulting families online in how to facilitate language naturally with their children. Sometimes people have therapy that they take their kids to, sometimes they have therapy that they take their kids to, or that they get through insurance, or that the state provides, or whatever. And for whatever reason, those therapists don't have the resources to teach parents how to do natural language facilitation at home. Or maybe parents don't have access to a therapist who can train them in how to do that. And what I learned is from being a therapist for 30 years, 28 years I was a therapist. 2 years ago I quit doing that. Nose itches. It means the universe is talking to me. Anyways, yeah, so I quit doing that to work with parents and teach parents how to facilitate language at home, because even when I was a therapist working in clinics and hospitals, schools, I worked all over. I was a contractor. So I worked in a lot of different places as a therapist, and just by the restrictions of my working environment, I didn't necessarily even have access to the parents of the kids that I was trying to facilitate speech and language, other than sending home worksheets or homework or, things like that. Sometimes when I was working in schools, I never saw the parents at all. And when I was working in clinics, sometimes I got to see parents for just like a second or two, between, or the last 5 or 10 minutes of the session, something like that. And then when I went to their home, that's when I really started to be able to do more talking to them and seeing what was going on in their environment. And that's kind of how my career progressed. And now I don't see the kids at all. Now I just work with families and help them integrate all of the speech and language stuff that I used to do in the clinic at home, only not using the speech therapy practice and, the flashcards and toys and all that stuff. I coach parents on how to use what's going on in your house, in your life every day, whether it is toys. Sometimes it's toys because your kids like to play with toys, but sometimes it's driving in the car because you have a really long commute to get to wherever you're going every day, and you've got all this car time, so you might as well use your car time to facilitate language. Or, for example, you always are home with your child all day long, but your job is to manage the household, and you have to clean and cook and, take care of other kids. And so you have to learn how to facilitate language while you're doing all that stuff. Whatever you have to do every day, all day, that's when you get your best language facilitation in. And when I realized that the flashcards and all of that stuff, that doesn't work for parents. Even worksheets I was sending home for homework, they would get crumpled up in the bottom of the backpack or stuck on the fridge and never done, because families were too busy on long commutes and taking care of the house and doing the other things that they were doing. And they were just sort of relying on me to do these exercises, the worksheets and things like that. So that's why I talk a lot about coaching and why it's more effective, because when you just rely on those methods to teach your child to talk, then, that's all the therapy they get. And when you learn how to be a language facilitator and help your child learn how to talk while you're doing the things that you do, then your child learns how to talk during the things that you already do. Like when you teach them, that's where they learn, right? It seems like it's so simple that it just makes sense, and it does. You know, for so many years, and there's still so many therapists that try to make the process so complicated. There are people who do nothing but write these books and create products full of flashcards and programs and stuff you can buy, and they come in big boxes with all kinds of stuff that you're going to sit down and use. And so many of the time, the stuff sits in a beautiful box in the corner because families are too busy in their everyday life to get the big box of stuff out and do it. And so, yeah, so that's what happens. But, yeah, so thanks for joining me. I see that there's some people. There's Kai and Sarah and Laura. Thank you for joining me today. So I guess getting to the topic of what I wanted to bring to talk about today was seeing this process from your child's perspective instead of your perspective. And here's why language facilitation works when those speech therapy things don't for parents. You know, they can work in the therapy session, and the therapist can get kids to do them, and it provides them with a little experience they can have together, but parents don't have those same kind of experiences at home. So what language facilitation does is it allows you to, you know, practice with your child doing the things that you're already doing instead of trying to do something else on top of it, because your lives are already too busy. And the other thing that is more important, I guess, to do the language facilitation than the other part. So if you have to have a choice, like if you only have so much time that you're going to spend and dedicate with your child, then, you know, spending that time to do a speech therapy worksheet versus have a natural language facilitation opportunity while you're vacuuming or driving in the car or cooking or doing the laundry or things like that. You know, when you have those kinds of experiences with your child, you kill two birds with one stone, a lot of birds actually, because you teach your child how to use the words for the stuff that they see every day. And this worksheet only has the stuff that the therapist came up with. Maybe it's a theme, maybe it surrounds a letter or a book or a you know, that's how people come up with opportunities to talk about language. The activity has a theme. So it's about letters, it's about rhymes, it's about ending sounds, it's about, you know, it all has a theme. It's just like a book or whatever, has a theme. And all day long in your life, you have these themes. So you have the cooking theme, you have the getting dressed theme, you have the driving in the car theme, and even when you're driving in the car, you have the sitting in traffic theme, and you have, because each of these experiences in your life, these are what your parent, you as parents can use as your worksheets, as your activities. If you think about, all right, the experience of emptying the dishwasher is where we're going to be facilitating language today. Instead of, let's try to get my kiddo to sit down at the table and we'll say these words each 5 times. You know, if you're emptying the dishwasher, you're going to have the word spoon at least 5 times, right? You got 1, spoon, put it away. Spoon, put it away. So you got a chance to practice stuff using the dishwasher, and you got a lot better chance of getting your child to engage with you doing that. And you have a lot better chance, your child has a lot better chance of learning and remembering the words and vocabulary that you teach while you empty the dishwasher 1 spoon at a time, or 1 cup at a time, or 1 plate at a time. Because when you see this whole process from your child's perspective, what language, what words do they need to know how to say to enjoy this experience with you? you know, while you're emptying the dishwasher. They need to know the words for the dishes that they see. And that's not the only time they use those dishes, right? They use those dishes to eat. They use those dishes, you know, maybe they use a spoon to dig in the sandbox. Maybe they use a spoon to, you see a big spoon to cook with, and they use a little spoon to stir their milk with, and, you know, that kind of stuff. When you see the world from your child's perspective, instead of trying to teach them vocabulary and stuff that you want them to say, you know, that's when they learn it. And they learn the word spoon over and over again while you're entering the dishwasher, and then they learn how to say spoon when they're digging with it in the yard, or they see one, or they want yours, or, you know, whatever, around the time for spoons. So I think that's really what I wanted to talk about today live. If you have any questions, I see there's some people joining me now. There's Monica. Hey, Monica, I missed you on our session. Somehow it didn't connect. If you have a question about your little guy's speech and language development, if you're doing something at home that's not working, or you're trying to get your child to do something, that's a lot of the time what the parents do in my Waves of Communication parent coaching program. In that program, people sign up to work with me for life, for as long as they need to, all through the stages of their kids' development. So they have a chance to jump on a call, like kind of like this, only live, you know, only face-to-face on computer, and they can say, you know, hey, you know, in fact, a question today is, we've been struggling with one mom, her little guy won't stop throwing his toys. And we figured out together that he's throwing these toys as a way to communicate that he wants somebody to help him play with them. He used to have a lot of prompting from ABA and his mom, and they all kind of stopped prompting, which was a good thing because he's less anxious and he's way more interactive and engaging. But he's still kind of frustrated because he was very reliant on those prompts. And now everybody's just kind of like, you know, what's going to come out of you? And they're still struggling with how much language they're modeling and doing more language facilitation because they've been really working on getting attention. It's a process, right? That's why people are in my program for a lifetime program, because you have to work through the whole entire process of the whole thing. So yeah, so how can one, here's Monica, who's somebody in my program, and she says, how can one use a love for letters and numbers? Yeah, that's right, her little guy loves that. All right, let me grab a little drink here. So hey, everybody who's joining. Hey, there's Mark. Hey, Mark, my friend from college. Just so you know, my daughter's graduating from Elmhurst College, same college. Now it's almost 32 years later. Crazy. Yeah, that we did, same college. It's very exciting. Yeah, so Monica has a little guy. He's 3 and probably getting close to 4, and loves numbers and letters. Probably those, I think, were the words that he said first. And I was going to get a drink, but I got distracted by Mark. Hey, Mark. All right, so the thing is, whatever a child's interested in, we want to really use that. But there is a very fine line between following a child's lead and using what they're focused on, and a child so focused on something that they're at the like obsessed stage and tuning out everything but, you know, that thing. So some kids will get so focused on the numbers and letters, and the way you know this, where your child is, whether they're super focused and want to learn more and like to use them, or they're hyper focused and using them as a coping mechanism, is you notice how they're using them. If the way they're doing it is very repetitive, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You hear the same kind of thing, the same kind of tone, the same kind of whatever. That's in the obsessive, and literally the kids aren't using the numbers and letters to talk about numbers and letters. They're using them to try to use for other communication things, and that's not talking about the numbers and letters at all. So what you need to do in those circumstances is figure out what your child is actually interested in, and they're saying the numbers and letters, and talk about that thing instead of numbers and letters. So that's not Monica's answer, but that is something that happens. So when kids get hyper-focused on one thing, like numbers and letters, if what you hear coming out of their mouth is just repetitive, 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 it's different than a child who like makes numbers out of all of their Play-Doh and paints them and lines up the letters in the bathtub, like every letters, every puzzle, every whatever. Those are kids who are into numbers and letters because of the concept of the numbers and letters. There's a difference. And the reason that you need to know the difference is because with language facilitation, we talk about what the child is actually focused on, not what's coming out of their mouth. So if your child is anxious about a noisy birthday party and they're saying numbers and letters, you need to be talking about the anxious birthday party situation, not the numbers and letters. If your child is, the only things they're saying, want to play with and deal with all the time is numbers and letters or trains or dinosaurs or whatever else, then you use those things as an opportunity. And whenever we use anything as a language facilitation tool, there are 4 rules: easy, happy, safe, and fun. All right? The first thing is, has to be fun. If it isn't fun, it isn't fun. And if it isn't fun for your child, not going to be fun. If it isn't fun for you, not going to be fun. So what you need to do is turning 5 in June. 5 in June. Anyway, so the situation with the numbers and letters is you have to try to incorporate those numbers and letters with other things and use them as a bridge. So if your child loves letters, like puzzles, for example, you can mix up numbers and letters with animals and use 2 puzzles, like the puzzle, the animal puzzle and the number puzzle, and put all of the animals in all the pieces, mix them all up in one bucket and pull one out at a time. This is a number, number goes here. This is an animal, animal goes here. And that's how you help a child sort of learn to use numbers. And oh, I wonder if it's going to be a number or an animal. Just the anticipation of, is it going to be their favorite thing or not their favorite thing? It makes their favorite thing even more fun because it's like, ooh, it's the good thing. Oh, I like those 2, but this is my favorite. And whenever there's an anticipation of my favorite thing gonna come, then there's more attention. Like anticipation of, I wonder what this cool thing is gonna be, is always the best way to get your child to focus on it. Now, your child doesn't have any trouble focusing on letters and numbers, so you want to try to pair that with other things that you might want to get them to focus on, especially now that you've been doing this language facilitation for a while. You know, he likes all the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. So, yeah, so that's one. You need to figure out how to put letters and numbers in like the pots and pans when you're cooking in the kitchen, or talk about the numbers and letters when you're having a tea party. You know, counting with numbers and letters functionally while you're, you know, how many lumps of sugar do you want? 1, 2, 3. And then so you're talking about and using numbers functionally, because it's real easy to use numbers, ABC, 1, 2, 3, doing the puzzles, ordering them, and that kind of stuff. The next most difficult way to use numbers is to do math. So kids will add things and, you know, subtract, and they do their initial sort of figuring out, and then they get into the math thinking that I don't even know how to do, that some 2-year-olds know better than me. That kind of way to process and look at things logically and understand algorithms and things like that, that I just had to learn how to say algorithm, you know, that stuff. So what you need to do, of course, is to figure out what does your child love about these numbers, and think about what else could you present your child that they love as much as that. And then show them how those things connect and teach them the new words for those new things that connect. So Counting is a great way, using the tea party thing, lining up, counting how many eyes do you have, how many fingers do you have, how many ears do you have, you know, using numbers that way, and always pairing the numbers or letters, words, the words for the numbers and letters in your case, that the child knows, with words that you want to teach them, and words other ways. Just like I was talking about that dishwasher example, where you're going to teach the word spoon while you're emptying the dishwasher, and your child's going to put it in their database. And then, of course, you're going to say it when you're eating. You're going to say spoon, and child's going to go, oh, yeah, same thing, different circumstance. This is how we integrate language. So with the numbers and letters, you want to find out, how am I going to integrate the numbers and letters, like I integrate the spoon between the dishwasher and the meal time and the yard digging in the dirt, to numbers and letters for what's on TV, numbers and letters you see on signs. And why are there's numbers? 2 degrees, how many numbers and letters in the car, and what those numbers and letters are for. Some kids love numbers and letters so much that they call the vehicle by their numbers and letters, like, we're driving the X21 today, and you're driving the, you know, their model number. Things like that. So I think that's, you know, whatever they love. And if a child did that with a car, I'd say, like, we're driving the X31 car. So that we made sure that, because to a stranger, they wouldn't understand. X31 is the name of the car. That's what the child is calling it. It's like when little kids call every animal a dog until they learn, oh no, that one's a horse. Because they don't know that there are more than one name for animal. They don't, you know, they don't even know what animal is. So great. So Monica says, wow, thank you. It's going to explode your language facilitation efforts. So great. Thank you so much for that question. I see there's some more people watching. If you are interested in asking me a question, go ahead and post it here in the comments. And if you're watching and you're just looking and seeing how I talk about language facilitation with other people, give my video a like, and that's always very helpful for me. And, you know, just give me a comment and say hi, because I'm always glad to know that this kind of structure works for families. Let me get a little drink here. And then there's one more thing I wanted to talk about. Okay. Ooh, my nose is really itching because this is a big thing. Golly, when big things come up. I've been very busy working on a behind-the-scenes project that I have. Thank you so much for all those likes. You guys are so great. Thank you so much. And if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, even though I know I'm not live here now. When I get a lot more subscribers on YouTube, I'm going to come live more often. I'm really going to do it, I promise. So the thing is that I wanted to talk to you about, the first time it happened to me, and I wanted to come and do it on live and talk to you about what happened. And yeah, because there's a thing about working like this as a consultant. I have to rely on parents to do the work. I have to rely on parents to trust themselves, like Monica, you know, who came to me very worried about her guy. I'm calling you out a little bit. And, you know, wasn't really sure what to do, but she was trying very hard. You know, she and her husband were doing lots of stuff that were, you know, they were doing everything. Her little guy was already 3, or probably 3.5. So if he's almost 5, so yeah, he was, you know, he's almost 5. They've been working with me about a year, a little more. And they're in Sweden, by the way. So hi over there on the other side of the pond. I'm always so glad to do these lives. So glad to see everybody. So the thing is, you know, when parents do, watch my videos and see me talk about how parents like, you know, Monica, she and her husband, they're not together. They're different. They live in different places. They parent separately. I don't know why that was such a hard thing to say. Terrible. Sorry, Monica. Anyway, they parent separately, which means that they parent separately. They both had to learn how to do this their own way. But they were both so concerned about their kiddo, and that's why this program was so valuable for them, because they each learned how to do it in their own way. And Monica had her own issues, and her little guy's dad had his own issues, and they had to learn what they were doing that was working great, and get reinforcement to keep doing that, which is how I'm sure he's talking as well as he's talking. And they had to learn the stuff that they had to stop doing too. They had to learn the stuff that was making them stressed out and skeptical about, you know, is this going to happen? And is he ever going to talk? And the worry and all of that stuff. And there's a big wave. It goes up and down all the time. Oh, nose itchy. And so here's the thing. Sometimes parents get so desperate that they sign up for this program before they're ready. Okay, they are just wanting, even though I spend a lot of time talking about how you have to give up this worry and trust in yourself and the process, because it seems like it is so easy, right? All you got to do is just play with stuff and engage with what your child loves and whatever. But for a parent who is so stuck and worried and still won't give up the responsibility for doing it for their kids, like, we have to teach him. He doesn't know. We have to show him, you know, say the words and get him to say the words. If we don't get him to say words, he's never going to do it. It's our job to get him to say words. And so they try really hard to get their kids to say words, and that's not how you teach kids to talk. That's just how you teach kids to say words. So, and it's different. In fact, it's happening right now with a mom in my program. She signed up for this program. She was ready to get started and ready to give up some stuff, but not everything. Her little guy still goes to ABA, and she's trying really hard, but she has done everything else. In fact, she's even coordinated the ABA, so the ABA is training the things that will help her instead of hurt her situation. So she's done everything, including bringing her mother from India. Oh, my nose is really itching. Hi, guys. So to help her with the process. She's done everything, and her little guy is there's a lot of ups and downs with it. They're speaking 2 languages. He was really, really stuck, really hard for her to get going. And every week she gets on my program, and every week we see little tiny bits of improvement. Like, he wasn't even engaging with his mom at all, and now he's helping make his chocolate milk. You know, that's really big. He's not talking about it yet, but he is engaging, and he is responding, and he is, you know, really, you know, together with his family, interested in playing more and working with them. So they're working on it. They're chipping away at these blockages. Some people's blockages are like concrete, and other people's blockages are like marshmallow, you know, but still blockages. And you got to have the right tools to get through them. That's what language facilitation strategies do. And following your child's lead to figure out what it is. And sometimes it takes longer, but it's all about following your child's lead and going on their schedule and giving up your expectations of when this is supposed to happen. And it all happens when you compare to other kids and whatever. And like I said, sometimes it happens that people come into my program and they're not ready at all. And that happened. And they came into my program, and it's expensive to work with me in my face-to-face programs. So I spent more than 2 hours talking to this woman about how I work and what's involved and what's blocking. I laid it out even before we even started working, what was blocking her child and exactly how her mindset and all of that. And I kept hearing skepticism, but then she said, no, I want to do this. I want to make a change. I want to do it. And then she signed up for my program. And sure enough, she sent me her strategies, and they were all kind of blockages. There's all kinds of prompting, all kinds of expectations, all kinds of all that stuff going on. And full-time ABA, really said this mom was working very hard all day, every day. They'd done every other kind of therapy on the planet too. Just, this is it. They had spent thousands and thousands of dollars on all these other therapies. And so I said, look, this is what's blocking you. You don't trust in yourself. You have to start over. You have to get simple with your language facilitation. Start to see it from your child's perspective, just like I talk about on these videos. And I gave her specific things about her family to help her son do it. And then I got on a meeting and I talked to her about it for 2 hours. And she was very quiet most of the time. And then she said, these are all the things that other people have told us before. And I said, well, how did they work when you tried them before? And she said, we did them, you know, way back when our child was very young. Her child's older, like 8. He's 8. So he's not a baby. And these are very simple language facilitation strategies because their child's primarily nonverbal. So he needed to start at the beginning to work with the kinds of engagement and stuff, even the kinds of stuff that the mom of the other one that I was talking about, who's only 2, they're working on. Because both of those kids are very stuck, 8 years old, very stuck in nonverbal communication. So, so the thing is, you know, when mom number 1 said, I see your question, Tricia. Yeah, let me tell you about that, about how to use ABA part-time in just a second. So what happened, like I said, with Mom A, who joined my program and was ready to make some changes, what she did was she worked really hard to understand from her child's perspective what was going on with all of the different things. And that's what I helped her do. We analyzed all of the input her child was getting from her parents, you know, when he was little and a tiny baby, all the way through till now, what school he's had, what ABA he's had, you know, all of the things, and really help her understand how he likes it. And so, Tricia, here's the answer to your question. This is how it works for the families in my program who still do ABA part-time. They work with their ABA practitioners, and this is what I help them do, is I help them understand what the ABA is teaching. It's very structured, so they have it documented exactly what are the target skills that they are focusing on teaching for the ABA. And what I usually recommend to families is if there are behavioral related things, because remember, ABA is applied behavior analysis. It is behavior training. It is training kids to do behaviors. So if there are behaviors you need assistance in training your child to do, and communication is not one of them, because communication is not a behavior. Saying words is a behavior. Communication is a method of engagement with the world, right? Communication. It's much bigger than saying words, because there's all kinds of nonverbal communication, right? So behaviors for communication is what ABA teaches if ABA focuses on communication. However, there are services that ABA behaviors that assist a parent with their language facilitation. And these are behaviors like attention and focus on playing with objects. So if a child is so busy, distracted by the world that they don't know how to have joint attention and focus and play on something, then repeated experiences with guidance and learning how to play can be beneficial for a child. So it's all about, if you have ABA, what is the ABA training? Because ABA is a training program. It's not even education. It's not even school. It is skills training activities. And then kids learn those things, take those ABA strategies to a school. So the idea of having, like you have, Tricia, a combination of a Montessori preschool that gets to follow a child's lead and watch what they're doing, fab, combination with ABA to help a child maybe learn some of the skills like focused attention, joint attention. In fact, the mom in my program, she's gotten her ABA people to stop working on communication altogether. She's like, look, you know, since we only have this limited time, you work on other things and I'll work on communication. And so they're working on potty training, which is great because ABA is great for potty training. It's totally behavior situation. So the way that a savvy parent is going to use any ABA, full-time, part-time, anytime, is to make sure that those ABA practitioners in the time that your child is away from you are teaching your child skills that will help you when your child is with you. And so the combination of ABA where your child's learning some skills, as long as you're on top of what those skills are. You know who are the practitioners working with your child. You know a good ABA, right? You have to have a good BCBA who understands and communicates with you, and they don't slide down any path towards repetitive activities or stuff that isn't purposeful for your child, sorting, matching, that kind of stuff. I don't know how old your child is, but your Montessori preschool is going to teach all those great concepts, right? So the academic-y, stuff is going to come from your Montessori preschool, and the behavior stuff, the behavior stuff is going to come from your ABA, and the language facilitation is going to come from you while you do the whole thing. And if you were in my program, then I would be able to coach you not only in doing the language facilitation part, but people who are in my lifetime program get coaching in how to work with their practitioners. Or, we've got people who are in IEP meetings with principals. We've got people who are, dealing with trying to get services or not, or work out educational circumstances, because it's a never-ending situation. It's not just you teaching your child, but it's you managing your child's whole learning opportunities in their future, and making sure that everybody that you are engaging on your child's team to help them learn the speech and language they need is on the same page, right? So that's what parents do. So that's how it goes. So I hope that was helpful today. All right, this live is getting over 30 minutes, and I don't see any more questions today. So I really appreciate everybody watching today. I want you to be on the lookout. I have got a very new surprise coming out. It's an independent study course, and it's priced to be incredibly affordable for families. So it's going to be coming out soon. Trisha, so glad. Trisha says thank you and awesome. And I'm so glad that you can use these skills and tips and tricks. And Trisha, I do hope you consider using my program. If you want to learn more about it, I have a whole website dedicated to explaining everything. The pricing is there, what you get, what I do, exactly what's involved. And I don't want you to sign up for my program if you're not ready, like this other lady, because she got halfway through the program and then I had to refund her part of her money because she just doesn't want to continue because she's not ready. And it doesn't make sense for me to do it, but I had already created a language facilitation plan for her. I'd already spent hours with her on the phone, and she chose not to take the strategies. So I don't want that to happen in the future. I want you to watch my videos and learn from me and ask me questions on these Q&A sessions and my strategy sessions before you sign up to work with me, because the strategies aren't going to help you if you're not ready to use them. So no matter what they are, like I said, this mom didn't even try because she didn't want to. She thought she'd heard it before, seen it before, tried it before, whatever, and it didn't work for her. And I don't want that to happen to anybody else. I don't want you to make the investment in the first place until you are ready. So if you are ready, or you want to learn more about all of that, you can find out more on my website, and that's wavesofcommunication.com, and you can find it there and see all kinds of information about my programs. And if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, then you can see all the time when I upload any more information on there. And if you are watching this on YouTube, you might want to check me out over on Facebook. It's very, very active over there. There's a group and everything. So, all right. Thanks again for joining me on this video, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all the next time I go live. And until then, get busy doing some language facilitation with your late talking kids. I'll see you all in the next live video.